Oh, what's up, Philadelphia sports fans? I am Anthony Pinto.
And I'm Kevin Christian.
And I got a co-host tonight. We are War Room Philly. Welcome to the War Room. How's everyone doing out there? Kev, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. It's good to be back, man. How you been?
Fantastic. It's great to have someone here along with me tonight. And I know it's been brutal. Shout out to your postal carriers, but yeah, it's I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. It's just I'm more grateful to have you guys here. But yeah, there's been a lot going on specifically since you and I have last talked, to the point where before show, I'll let people behind the curtain a little bit. I was like, I don't even know if we've talked about this like at all.
Yeah.
But flipped camera, throw me. Yeah, it's bothering me too. We'll just deal with it. I don't know.
You weren't sure if anyone was going to bring it up. It got brought up in the first 60 seconds.
I had a look. It's 8:36, and we're just going live, right? So unfollowing, yeah, muted. It's been a mess. We've been every time I use so Nick, you're here often. It's been a while since I've had a co-host, right? Again, not complaining, just it is what it is. So today I go to use, and by the way, Keith usually sets up the Google Meets when I do have a co-host. Keith, last minute, his laptop pooped the bed. So here we are. I'm setting up the thing. Everything's messed up because if you go to use any port of technology anymore, whether it be Facebook on your phone, then you go to Facebook on your computer, that's different. Everything, it's always different. These programmers just keep changing things to drive us nuts and to keep them paid. So it's the camera's flipped. Short story long. But it's good. It's good to have you guys here. See the bunch of names in chat already. We got Nick. We got both of the Joes in chat. Yeah. How's everyone doing out there? But tonight it's gonna be some Trea talk because I want to talk to everyone I possibly can about Trea Turner. It took everything in me. Matter of fact, I screwed up. Let's do an unboxing. In fact. It took everything in me to not wear it tonight. Because I had to wear the Eagle. I'm like, I'm not going to wear a Trea Turner shirt on a day that it's an Eagles playoff show.
Yep.
But what I can do is, we got the nice, this is the ASMR or whatever. This is you got the nice opening of the oh yeah, and it's flips. Of course, it's flipped. It's the camera's flipped, so no one even cares. But it's the Trea Turner shirt, in its flip glory. But that'll be coming out. Hopefully not anytime soon. Hopefully I just keep rocking the Eagles gear. Right. Yeah, it's my hot number one Rennert shirt. Who could forget Rhett Rennert? So, but in all seriousness, not just Trea Turner, but I'm gonna let you, because I've talked so much. Give me your Phillies off-season report as of now, and then we'll get into some Eagles playoff talk.
I don't think I could have been happier. Honestly, that was, we talked about it. I think we started talking about Trea Turner at the beginning of July or June when Bryce went down with the injury, and talking about how this team had to be competitive because Turner's not coming to a team that's not competitive. And, we're talking 7 months later, we're coming off of a World Series run, and he's here. This is my favorite type of player, these speed guys who can hit. So to go get probably one of the best in the game at what he does, I couldn't be more thrilled. I love what they've done with the bullpen, which I definitely have not been able to say in the last 5 to 7 years, maybe longer. Um, I'm ready. I don't know that I in the last decade have been counting the days till pitchers and catchers. This is that first year.
30.
Yeah.
30
Oh,
today.
yep.
30 today.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And this is in the midst of, oh, by the way, the Eagles are a 1 seed.
Mhm.
And now for me, it's not weird because I want to talk baseball always. But now everyone else wants to talk baseball with me, and I just grin always, because this town turns into a baseball town like that when you give them the opportunity to. And Red October. I mean, I think next year, if the here's the thing, Red October was glorious. If the World Series is being played in November next year, it's time for a new mantra. Because it's got to be, because it felt like when it became November,
It was over.
it was Blue November.
Yeah.
So let's we gotta find a new mantra. Only if the World Series is played, even if the Game 7 is November 1st, we gotta come up with something else.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the last thing for the Phillies this offseason, because like you've said, I mean, arbitration, even you get Rhys Hoskins for what's it, 12 million this
12.
year? 12 million this year?
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care how much you do not like Rhys Hoskins, because I'm right there with you. At 12 million, he's a steal, and you don't understand numbers if you are not happy about having Rhys Hoskins here this year.
The Ranger number is crazy.
It's like when people go, "Oh, Shake Milton's back." I'm like, "Yeah, you see what we're paying Shake Milton this year?
Yeah.
I'm not mad at Shake Milton.
He's absolutely back.
1.8 million or whatever. Absolutely bring Milton back. Absolutely bring Rhys Hoskins back at that number." So it's it's funny, even like it's rare that I'm like, oh, arbitration even, but like Rhys, I would have thought 17, 19, somewhere in there, even with arbitration. 12, and that's a bunch of money saved with a team that's how do I say, pushing their boundaries when it comes to spending. Not that they're strapped for cash by any means, but it's still nice to see. So yeah, it's been dynamic. I like you said, Turner, and I'm not comparing him to Jimmy Rollins by any means, who Jimmy Rollins is a Hall of Famer in my opinion, but Trea Turner is going to be by far and away the closest thing that we will maybe ever see to Jimmy Rollins, because like you said, speed and pop. Like what Jimmy Rollins had the year that he went 30-30-30. Trea Turner has abilities to do it. I'm not saying or predicting that he'll do it, but that's the kind of guy you want in the lineup. So yeah, the Turner thing, and then you got even as of late, like you mentioned, the arbitration moves, but then you got Kimbrel as of late as just like oh, by the way, we'll just add in a guy that's got closer. I don't want to see him anywhere near the 9th inning, but he's got that in his DNA, and that can only do positive things in your bullpen. Like, he's going to be in there talking to other guys. And if anything, it bumps Connor Brogdon down a peg. If anything, it bumps, pick the guy that you like least that's coming back. It bumps him down. If it's, Nick Nelson, I think he's back too, right? Like, it bumps those guys back.
And I think that's the biggest thing they did, which was fill from the top and let the guys who were starting over their heads go back to what they should be doing. Instead of seeing these guys late in the 7th or 8th, you're going to see the guys who are supposed to be middle relievers as middle relievers. Like, that's what they're supposed to be. You're supposed to be your last resorts, not the guy you have to go to because you had to use the bullpen the day before. I loved with everything they did. I like all the moves, and I still think Marsh has so much to give compared to what he was when he got here. That I think he's going to be beloved. I think he's already well liked, and I think he's going to be someone that these fans just jump right on.
You kind of segue perfectly into it too, because Vierling is, look, Vierling and Nick Maton, both guys that we all love as fans,
Mm-hmm.
but um, Nick or Matt Vierling being gone sort of opens the door up even wider for Marsh. And let's not forget, Marsh is young. And he's by no means a finished product, and you have him again, a young and controllable player for a long time. I think Marsh has a lot more to give offensively. I agree with you. I don't think that he'll ever be a guy that's got a ton of pop, but you don't need everyone in your lineup to do that. In fact, sometimes it helps to just have a guy that's annoying and speedy, and plays a great defense too. Like he's an anchor in your outfield, which you need given the fact that you
You
have,
have two anchors in the other parts of the field.
yeah, yeah, in a negative way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, it's been fun. I'm just I've noticed I've been neglecting chat, but it's cool. We're good.
I should probably pull that up so I
Nah,
can
nah,
look at
it's cool.
it.
It's cool. We're good. But yeah, it's a first game I put on was Flyers Bruins. Quickly put it on Australian Open instead. Yeah, yeah.
That's
You
that's
don't
gonna
want
be
to do
this.
that.
That's gonna be the team all year. That's all. You'll see them play well against bad teams, and they'll get whacked whenever they're playing above their head. That's all. Boston is also ridiculously good, but yes, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Joe, I hope not.
My everything just went hayward. I don't know. I'm trying to pull chat back up.
He said they'll make the playoffs.
Cool, we're good. But yeah. So anyway, see, as far as let's see, anything. What else? Phillies. Yeah, I get any other Phillies points that you want to make before we can start moving over towards the Eagles. Anything we missed as far as the Phillies?
No, it was a hell of a run. It's been an awesome off season. So I'll take it. I'm ready. 30 days couldn't come fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great. It's like and throughout these 30 days too, we have oh by the way, this Eagles team that's a 1 seed, and this Eagles team that, you know, is going up against a division foe. If you take a peek ahead, which I hate doing, but if you can wax poetic for a second, Eagles Giants, Eagles Cowboys, and then you get either Eagles Chiefs or Eagles Jaguars. I'm just saying. If I can wax poetic for a second, just 1 second. But yeah, this is now that I don't like, I don't like to look ahead, and for specific reasons, it's this Giants team, they deserve to be here. They beat Kirk Cousins, which but they're a team that exceeded expectations throughout this year. And they're a team that deserves to be here. And the Eagles, as far as that roster goes, they have to be prepared for what's going to be a battle. So yeah, I just how do you see Sunday playing out?
Uh, I agree. I think it's going to be hard fought to the end. I did. I mean, I'm glad that it went the way that it did. Of all of the matchups you could have had in the second round outside of Seattle, I mean, the Giants were my second option of the teams that I wanted to play. But this is a tough team, and the bigger thing is that the Eagles still haven't found that rhythm. It was one of those times where, yeah, the bye is helpful. You don't have to play in the wild card. But that week 18 and, the weeks coming back with Jalen still coming back hurt, they still haven't found that. So it's one of those things where they got to find it quickly. And they got to find what made them so successful. I mean, part of it is getting back your best offensive lineman, and whether or not he's healthy, the fact that Lane's on the field is a huge upgrade. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think the rest of the games, no matter how it plays out, you're going to have tough games where you need both sides of the ball to be at their best.
Yeah, and I just to bounce off of that too. to start with the defense, I think the job is simple. Keep Danny Jones within the hash marks. If you can contain him from the outside, and really, if you can contain Saquon Barkley to the same
Yep.
thing, if you can keep him inside, I think I said outside last time. If you can contain him to the inside, keep him from outside. Um, you're kind of you're already making the battle much more downhill for this team. And to piggyback off that point, you look at this defensive line. I think that they have what it takes to 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 handle this task. Um, I think that if you can cut off this team's ability to run, you immediately make your job easier. And this is I literally theory crafted this 3 different times. This is the third time I'm saying this, but I've said this with a lot of teams this year with the Eagles. This is a team that, again, a lot easier said for me. I'm a guy in a chair sitting, but go out there, get yourself a 10, 14 point lead. You immediately cut off the best part of their offense because now they're in panic mode. Now they're starting to force the throw a little bit more. If you can go out there and you start off offensively, you make it easy for your defense to kind of do that main task. The defense to me, and their second task is to cause Daniel Jones to turn the ball over, which he is prone to do. I think this is the game where, maybe you want to pick Slay as your bomb player of the week. I know mine is going to be a member of the defensive backfield, but it's not Slay. But it's, you have to me, the ability to kind of just that's the way to do it. That's the easiest formula. Again, it's a lot easier said than done. Oh, go out there and just be up by 14. Oh shit, I wouldn't have thought that. And that's where it comes down to the offensive part. But in my opinion, I think this defense is good enough to handle the Giants offense. It just comes down to execution. That being said, it's still again, the Giants are here for a reason. So I by no means am like, oh, this is going to be an easy game. How many touchdowns are the Eagles going to win by? It's no, this is no division game is an easy game. You lost a game this year to the Commanders.
Yep.
So that was your first loss of the season. No division game is going to be easy. And honestly, I don't even look at that last game of the season as anything, because the Eagles played, the Eagles starters were out there, but they played essentially a preseason game plan, and there's no one that's going to convince me that they didn't. And as far as the Giants go, there's nothing you can learn from what the Giants did because they had their third stringers out there.
Yep.
So it's it's a big one. But what do you think about maybe Jalen Hurts and his injury? Because that's another thing we haven't talked about. I haven't got your thoughts at all about Hurts' injury, and then I want to take a peek at chat because I've just
I think the biggest thing, especially with this injury, is that so much of what makes him effective is his ability to run, and the fact that he plays so fearlessly. So I think for me, the way they game plan the beginning of the game, especially, is going to be huge. And that's my biggest concern going in is both Gannon and I guess we'll give it Steichen, but I think it's mostly Nick coming up with the offensive game plan. Going up against Dable, who's just a brilliant mind on that side of the ball, and his Wink Martindale's defense has been sick all year. I would like to see them get off to a good start. I know they've enjoyed giving the other team the ball and kicking off to start the game. I think you got to take that ball and go score. I think that's a huge part of the game for them is getting up early and never taking your foot off the gas. I think the Eagles are an offense that, when they're at their best, can score with anybody. And I think Jalen will be ready Saturday. Whether or not he's got the full bill of health, I know he was cleared off the injury report, but that injury report is the biggest waste of time in maybe all of sports, is playoff injury reports. I think it was Belichick who used to put all of his guys as questionable.
Lower body injury.
Yeah.
That's the hockey
I,
thing.
I have 70 questionable
Guy
players for
goes
Sunday.
out bleeding from the eye. Hockey, they're like lower body injury.
Lower body.
You're like, wait a second. So here's what I'll say about the Hurts injury. I downplayed it from the start. I downplayed it from the start because that was the information that was given to me. And by given to me, I mean that's what the beat writers and the same thing that all you guys out there in chat have. So I kind of downplayed it. I still, to this day, think that, hey, it's the playoffs. Got an extra weekend. I think it'll be fine. That being said, I have no freaking idea, and I'm no longer going to act like I know what I do, because I have been the last however many weeks until he played last week. Or I guess it was 2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks now.
I do think that the extra week of rest should help him out, obviously. But ultimately, look, if he is unhealthy, then we're in trouble. I still think that whatever percentage Jalen Hurts can go out on Saturday, I think will be enough to get the W. It might not be 3-point or a 3-touchdown victory. It might be a 3-point victory. That being said, I'm not saying anything's impossible. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm gonna mortgage the house on it or whatever, bet the house on it. But it's like, again, the Eagles are a 1 seed. I've seen a dominant offense, just like you were saying. I agree with you. I think they can go toe-to-toe with anyone. And I think that this defense, in particular by the Philadelphia fans, is underrated.
100%.
100%. I think everyone outside of this town kind of realizes that this defense has got a pretty good, or this team's got a pretty good defense. But if you talk within, I would fire down, and now I hope a team takes him. Blah, blah, blah. Get him out of here. It's like, he doesn't blitz enough. Wait a second. Did the team not almost set a record for Zach? What do you mean he doesn't blitz enough? Maybe he doesn't need a blitz because they're hungry. They got the best defensive line in the league.
I don't understand how we're treating Jonathan Gannon like he is Jim Schwartz. And
Jim Schwartz won a Super Bowl.
I'm not. Listening.
You're right. You're right. That was the perfect way to put it.
Gannon's defense has been effective all year. The problem is with this offense, and it feels sometimes when I'm watching this offense exactly how it felt watching Chip's first year, where when the offense is on, it's electric. There's no stopping them because you can't cover both Devonta and AJ. You can't cover both of them and not have Goddard streaking down the middle for 50 yards. I think that's my biggest thing is that when they go 3 and out 3 times in a row, and then the defense breaks down, and I got to listen to people telling me it's Gannon and the defense. Get the hell out of here!
Like they did in a lot in the games that Hurts was absent.
Absolutely.
And look, they did a decent amount even in. Well, no, they had pretty long drives against the Giants. It was a little bit of turnovers that costed them.
Correct.
Which, by the way, if they lose, that's why. Like, they're not going to go 0 turnovers and lose this game. If they lose, it's going to be because they turn the ball over 2, 3, 4 times. And that is 100%. They have to play a clean style of football. I don't care who is or isn't on the field. That is objective 1. I guess objective 2. Objective 1, be in the positive in the points. Objective 2, be positive in the turnovers, because that'll lead to objective 1. Yeah. But it's you want to be, especially, and I mean this as a slight, especially against a quarterback like Danny Jones. You need to be in a positive because look, I'm not gonna talk trash about the Giants team. The Eagles have, I don't care what percentage Jalen Hurts is. Jalen Hurts is the better quarterback. Gardner Minshew might be better than... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going that far. I'm not going to finish that sentence. No, but the Eagles have the better quarterback this matchup. And I'm a long-known... I've hated Danny Jones since Duke. So take that what it is. You guys know every now and then I make statements as a fan. There's one of them. So I think that the Eagles... in particular. I think this defensive line is going to get to him. They're going to cause him to, whether it's strip sack, whether it's the defense is getting him so often that he's forcing passes and that leads to an interception. I think that really the big onus on this game is the defense, but it does, like you said, we can talk about the defense all we want. If the offense goes out there and goes 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 100%, Kev. Then the defense is bound to get lit up,
Yep.
And that'll be a problem.
I think for me, I think the two linebackers, Kaiser and TJ, are the main focus for me for this game, because like you talked about in the beginning, you cannot let these guys run. And while Saquon is a beast and almost impossible to stop, you can't let it be a Daniel Jones read option what kills you, especially on the 3rd and longs. That cannot be how you get beat. You can't let him sneak out the backside. The QB spies coming out of the linebacker position is so huge this week, because if you can keep him from doing any of that, they can't pass. They shouldn't be able to pass on this secondary. So if you can shut that run game down, I think all you need is the defense should just, or the offense should just manage the game. Go out there, do what they do, and they'll be fine.
Yeah. And again, it's with the offensive game. I think it comes down to, hey, look, let's be a little consistent with the run game. Let's feed Sanders early and often, because let's not forget, this is games. Anytime it's Eagles Giants, anytime it's Saquon versus Sanders, there's a little bit of matchup within the matchup, and Sanders. This guy took away runs from me at Penn State, and
it's the only time he goes north-south is when they play the Giants.
Yeah, so Boston Scott's in the end zone at least once. So go ahead and get that in if you're a betting man, and put that in. But
I took a parlay with all 3 running backs getting 1.
Yeah. Oh, so you got Gainwell too.
Gainwell as well.
I like Sanders, and matter of fact, maybe I might even put like a little $5 on that. I don't know but that's why if you get the Gainwell, it pays off big. Huge. Yeah, I got it. But it's it's funny. I mentioned Gannon and Joe took the bait. I love it. Every now and then I know how to get the bait from chat. But yeah, again, and if that's your opinion, that's fine. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think that I'm hoping to see him back next year. I am not one of the people that are rooting for him to get a head coaching job.
I think he's gone. I think my bigger problem is I was hoping it was going to be Vic Fangio to replace him, and I think Vic's going to have a job before the Eagles are done their season. So
yeah. Yes, I'm gonna start naming. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about naming a couple. Oh, what about what's a Lovey Smith? I'm like, I don't want to start talking about the offensive. I'm breaking my own rule. I'm not trying to talk about.
Yep.
I'm not trying to talk about the off season when we got a
playoff game
trophy to hopefully lift this season. But again, that's the goal this year. Like we've made it. It's at least get there. So. Losing this game would be a massive disappointment.
I think you have to win this week. If you lose next week, I'm gonna be upset, but I at least will say it was a successful season. You get to this point and losing your first game, it's a loss.
Yeah, and
that's a lost season.
Obviously, it depends on what the optics look like as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, again, I'm not trying to sound cocky or overconfident. It's just. Outside of the Eagles turning the ball over too many times, which I could see happening, outside of that, I can't envision too many ways that Jalen going down like early or like something terrible.
I'm going to tell you that if they had to start Minshew in this game, to start the game, I'd still be picking the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think this defense matches up with the Giants' offense so well that as long as you can manage the offense, you should beat them.
I died in front of this camera on the Minshew Hill twice already.
So honestly, it's not even a Minshew thing. It's it could be. I just think that's how good this defense has been, and with the way it matches up against the Giants' offense. That's my only thing. To me, if you lose this game, there is nothing that could happen in the game that I would be okay with them losing. When you get to the NFC Championship game, at that point, I believe you can have a conversation about, all right, you lost on a this or that, and it's still a good season. Losing this week, I cannot think of a situation where I go, it happens.
What if
No,
it's the Cowboys though?
I'm not saying I will be upset no matter when they lose, if they lose at this point. As far as don't get blown out. If you have to play the Cowboys next week, you can't get stomped.
Yeah,
that's all. I mean, you lose that. They are a good football team, no matter how much that makes me want to go throw up.
Yeah, we can, and we'll talk about the Cowboys too. I know I'm the one that brought it up, and now but it's like, first of all, we got to worry about our own thing.
Yeah.
Second and third of all, the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. So and like I repented last week, I kind of was down on San Fran all year, and then last week I sort of backtracked, if you will, repented. I kind of went, I dug into the numbers a little bit, and I started looking at their team, and I'm like, you know what? They're better than I thought. In fact, I went as far as saying last week that I think that they're our biggest contention going into the playoffs. And after seeing a weekend of football after, I agree. I still think that they are big. In fact, I'm, dare I say, rooting for the Cowboys in that game. If we just so happen to pull it off on Saturday.
I think with San Fran, I know what to expect from them, and that you have to play your A game. You have to get to a certain amount of points. Like, I know what you need to beat them. The Cowboys are they're similar to the Eagles in that if you told me that this game this weekend ended with 10 points from either team, I'd believe you. I'd believe that the offense just sputtered and never figured it out, and I would believe that the defense just shut it down and held them to 10 points. I also would believe if you told me the game ended 38-35. We've seen these games all season from these teams where the possible outcomes are just so wide, whereas it feels like every 49ers game ends 21-17, outside of last week where Seattle just quit at halftime and just kept throwing the ball to San Fran cornerbacks. But it just feels like it's more consistent. What you're going to see from San Fran, you got to beat them. It's going to be a relatively low-scoring game for this year's NFL anyway. Whereas with the Cowboys, that game, you could tell me any score, and I'd be like, "Yep, that makes sense."
Yeah, I kind of feel that way. Like, that's this weekend too.
Agreed.
This is a really tough game to predict. Like, I see the Eagles winning, but how? And that's probably like my biggest concern. It's like how I don't know right now, because the how that I envisioned 5 weeks ago isn't the same, because we haven't seen that team, and we haven't seen that 1-seed Eagles since maybe the Bears game, if not the week before, because Jalen got hurt in that Bears game. I still think they took care of business in that game. So I would say the Bears game is the last time we really saw that Eagles, the Eagles offense that we really are wanting, hoping, and borderline needing to see Saturday. So Purdy is Tom 2.0. Oh, of course. Yeah, he's the real dude. You know who he is? He's the next Matt Castle. Who? Exactly. Exactly. Actually, that Matt Castle might be too good of a compliment.
I will say that when I watch him play, that I see the good, positive things that I saw out of Alex Smith. In that's what this run reminds me of. Now, totally different optics. Alex Smith was literally a first overall pick, whereas he's Mr. Irrelevant. But when you are saddled with that much talent around you, and all you do is not mess it up, is drastically different than some of these other comparisons that I've seen of guys who absolutely made plays.
Yeah.
I have yet to see Purdy make plays, more so just be solid enough to get the ball into the hands of Ayuk and Samuel or McCaffrey and just kind of let them do it, especially Kittle, and just kind of let them do their thing. I don't think it's like I said. I don't think he's bad. I think he's got maybe one of the best defenses we've seen in the last 20 years, and a whole plethora of skill position guys that get on the ball, and that's it. I mean, to me, I think the Niners are the best team in the league, maybe two, as far as well-rounded and the way they played all year. That they legitimately scare me next week if that's what the Eagles get to. So
yeah, Shanahan's calling an offense that is perfect for a seventh round quarterback, and his seventh round quarterback is just so happening to take advantage of it. And like I said,
to be fair, that's Garoppolo's no talent either. So it was already built for. I don't have a good quarterback. Let me figure this out.
Yeah, and everything else on that team is pretty much there and ready. So yeah, it's a bit of a, again, I don't want to look ahead, but yeah, they're a tough team, and just everything that offense is doing, it's, dare I say though, it kind of plays to the Eagles defense. They're very much keep it underneath, but again, we'll worry about that if we got to worry about that.
Yeah.
Let's, this week it's, again, just to go off of it, it's kind of what you were saying about the Giants too. It's our offense our defense kind of plays within their offense, because there's not too much where they can take us over top. So if you play the way that they play, it's just going to be a matter of, not letting them bleed you to death, which the Eagles are prone to doing. Like letting the 3, 5, 3, 7, 3, 2, 5. Like, we can't just let that. But that, again, that's where I see if plays and drives like that start to happen. That's when I say, well, turn up the turnover volume.
Yep.
And if you can't force a punt, you force a turnover. Again, a lot easier said from me. I'm not sitting here doing this, like playing on my controller. Turnover now! If only it were that easy. Sometimes it is, though. I don't know if you saw did you see the clip of Dallas Goedert? It was on the Eagles social media. He was talking about, it was something like, I forget what it was, but it was like some sort of situational football, and Goddard is talking to the coach on his side, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I learned that from Madden." And then, like, the coach giggles, and then he goes, "Seriously?" And he's like, "Yeah, seriously." And he's like deadpan, like proud of it. And the coach just kind of like, "Oh my god,
that's amazing."
But yeah, I bet I could find. I don't think you'll be able to hear it. It's probably not good for that though.
I'll find it.
But it's on Eagles social media. But yeah, I mean, it's, again, we'll worry about the Niners and or Cowboys as long as we take care of business this week. But just because Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, any quarterback that succeeds late in the draft isn't Tom Brady. I'm sorry,
Joe.
Brady.
Who are you arguing with? No one said any of the things that you're arguing.
I think Joe hears things and I'm starting to learn this because I take it offensively when he complains.
Oh, okay, that's fine. As long as you're not arguing with one of us, because neither of us said that.
Sometimes, like, I like, or he'll just come in with like something he heard on the radio, and he'll just start, and I take it, and then we blow up, and then I'm like, and then I realize that the things that he were meant wasn't even stuff that I said.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
oh
what
wait,
you just said.
so yeah.
I just looked down and saw Purdy. The Derek Carr thing is what I saw first, and I started laughing because that's Adams and Jacobs are not even. I mean, Adams is the best receiver in football probably, but one guy compared to the 6 that the Niners have, on top of they have the best defense in football, on top of their coach is so much better than Vegas's coach, that the fact that Vegas has that guy still coaching their team is hilarious. Jacobs is a good running back. They can't make the playoffs off of having one running back, one receiver, and a coach who loses games on purpose. It's not even close to the same thing.
Yeah, the Giants almost did off that formula, but they had a coach that wins games, not loses them.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
Yes,
yeah,
the
no,
two
that's
guys,
pretty. I was gonna
the
say,
two
yeah,
guys
one
you,
wide receiver, one running back. That's pretty
yeah.
much the Giants formula. Yeah,
No one disrespected the
and
Niners.
they
You just
really
named the
and a
two
really good
guys.
coach. Which, matter of fact, I want to bring up a question to chat. I want to bring up a question to you. This is actually a question that my younger brother Vinny kind of brought up to me because he said to me, and again, I want to bring this up. He thinks that Giants might have a better coach than the Eagles.
I don't even think that's a question. I don't even think it's something that Eagles fans can debate. I believe that I believe Nick Sirianni does a really good job in general of relying on his coordinators like you're supposed to. He's also very much a rah guy. He's also the second most entertaining interview of any coach in the league. I don't care how much dumb shit he says; it's great. Brian Dable is, and from 10 years ago, looking at all that he's done, for the Giants to be where they are after 1 year is incredible. What he did to improve Josh Allen, and you've seen Allen, who had a good year this year, but regressed from his last 2 years where he maybe should have been the MVP over Rodgers. I think Dable's a genius. I believe that he's been touted that way, and I know that as Eagles fans, I immediately want to go, no, that's wrong, because I don't want anyone in the division to have good things. The Giants got a good one, and that's honestly my biggest concern. Is I just brought that up talking about the difference between the Vegas' coach and San Fran's coach. My biggest concern going into this weekend is not that the Giants have anything on paper better than this team, other than a coach who I believe can outcoach the Eagles coach. That's my biggest concern is if you lose, it's off of your game planning and the Giants jumping it. The same thing we want the Eagles to do. I'm worried the Giants jump out and are up 2 touchdowns early. And the Eagles having to go into a game plan that doesn't suit them. As much as they've done well this year from coming from behind because they have a good defense and the offense kills it through the air. That's my concern is that this weekend doesn't start off quickly. That's where I'm at. So, I think Dable's better.
So and I'm not saying, by the way, I think we both might have the same generic brand water.
No, it's different.
Yours is a lighter blue. Okay. I weirdly, as I took my last sip, I saw it in camera. And I was like, it kind of looks exactly like yours. And these are the thoughts that go through my head when I should be listening to my co-host. But
to be fair, you haven't had one in months. You're fine.
But speaking of now I forgot I was gonna. So my retort, just because I like to retort, and I always gonna answer something, because he said, well, he did it with less. My retort, and I'll ask you the same thing: is should it count against a coach because his team has more talent? To wit, I also say, let's remember he took. Basically, I would compare last year's Eagles team, to this year's Giants team. He took them to the playoffs. Now the Giants got a win. The Eagles didn't. The Giants played, I would say, a weaker opponent than the Eagles did last year. But that shouldn't matter too much. I think that's splitting hairs. But that was my it was like, well, you got to remember what Sirianni did with last year's team, which I thought was pretty impressive.
I agree. I also think it is difficult. I'm going off of the last 10 years, which isn't fair to Sirianni in a way because he's younger, and 10 years ago he was coaching at IUP. So it's the what Dable's had the opportunity to do. I mean, he was with Belichick 10 years ago. What he did at Bama, what he did in different places. I think I've been impressed by him the whole way. Especially his work with Allen in Buffalo. What he did this year to me is amazing because I think last year the biggest thing for Sirianni was what can you get out of Hurts? Is Hurts the guy? Whereas in New York, I think they've done all of this and done really well. And at the same time, Dable's proved that it's absolutely Jones is not the guy. He's winning in spite of him. Um, which I don't think we can say that that was the case last year for Sirianni. As negative as the two of us have both been about Hurts during his first 2 years as the starter, well, first year, we weren't as negative this year.
By the way, how things have changed. By the
Exactly.
way,
I have come. I said, I think the last time I was on was right before the season started, and I said that I would give him his first 6 games, and from there I would do no negativity from me and all of that. There's still things he does that drive me absolutely up a wall, but I think to not be able to say that he is a guy, he is the guy, I think would be crazy at this point. I think that you have to do certain things. I think he gives you like he gives you different positives and negatives than other quarterbacks would. But he's absolutely an NFL starter, and he definitely should be the guy going forward. And you figure it out around him, which was not my stance 18 months ago. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I would lean Dable. And honestly, I don't think it's close. But I like Sirianni. It's not a knock on Sirianni. I think what Dable's done is unbelievably impressive.
Yeah, and that's 2,000% fair. And to that point, and I see it in chat, and this is, Joe Heston had the point. Coach of the year, Brian. It's Dable,
No question.
100%. And again, it's just because you're coach of the year doesn't necessarily mean his coach is better than mine. I think it's pretty. I think it's close. Even if it does skew to Dable, I think it's close. I think that both coaches still have a lot to prove.
Mhm.
This game will be a very good stepping stone for whichever one wins.
Either one, yeah.
Because they'll basically have the feather in their cap that they outcoached the other. Because the Eagles have more talent, but it still comes down to putting the game plan down. Because in football, more than any other sport, coaching matters. More than any other sport.
Yep.
In football, you can go back throughout history and look at careers of in particular, probably quarterbacks, that their careers were ruined because their first 3-4 years they did not get a good coach.
Correct.
Now maybe some of that is on them as well, and again, you'd have to go throughout history, not but coaching matters so much more in football than it does in any other sport.
I agree.
So it's I don't just Dable's better, Nick's better, but it's gonna be close, and it's close enough where you may even see the difference in between the lines this week. But getting back into this week specifically, let's start moving it towards maybe some bomb players and things like that. If you guys have them in chat, go ahead and bring them up. But do you have any ready? I already teased. I know mine, so if you need a second to think,
No, I sort of, and I'm gonna cheat again, as I always do. It seems like every time I give this, I'm gonna go with the two guys I brought up earlier.
Okay.
And it's only because they have done such a good job all year of mixing and matching which one of them handles this specific job. So I'm gonna say both of them, and that's Kaiser White and TJ Edwards. They are the key to this game, both for the short underneath stuff that Daniel Jones loves to throw, but more so keeping him in check and keeping him as the quarterback. I think that's kind of where I'm at. I think the two of them should be the guys who break it open. I could see Kaiser getting that fumble again, or TJ. I think when you look for someone who's going to make those turnovers, I think the two of them, and I have a feeling the third guy that would be on my list is the guy you're about to say.
Would that be a Mr. James Bradbury?
It sure is.
Yeah, because that's you guys know me long enough to know I take the storyline pick any and every time I can. So that way, if it's wrong, I just go, oh well, I take the storyline pick. So, and if it's right, I the storyline is even better because I picked the bomb player.
Yep.
No, but in all seriousness, um, if your guy is Slay this week, if your guy is any of the defensive line members, if your guys are the linebackers, because you're going to see more of, and it plays into the favor. If you pick the linebackers and then they make that like one really big play, you're like, well, that was the bomb player because linebackers don't hit that often. So
Yep.
the scale is adjusted a little bit. Like we're on like a grading curve when it comes. Like if you pick Jalen Hurts every week, Jalen Hurts has to do something extraordinary for me to go, okay, your pick hit.
It kind of feels it is a little nuanced, but if for those who play Madden a lot, whenever you play the Super Bowl, if you have a defensive touchdown, that guy's automatically MVP. Your quarterback could have 9 touchdowns; it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
The defensive guy.
He's holding the trophy first.
The defensive guy who had that random touchdown
at the end of the game when it was all sealed up too.
My brother, I know my brother. I don't know if he's in here tonight, but he was playing the one time, and I had stopped over, and we were hanging out for a little bit, and he literally dove down at the 1 yard line, and I was like, "What are you doing? Just walking in?" He goes, "No, because then he's gonna be MVP," and I'm up like 3 touchdowns. It's stupid.
Nah, he ain't getting the MVP. Nah, that's a thoughtful player. He's looking out for his quarterback. Yeah. That's a good head coach or whatever
you would be in Madden.
Madden
Equivalent is.
You're the head coach, GM, quarterback, and whoever has the ball.
Yep.
Now to that point, I had Devontae Smith come into me in the Madden meeting room, and he was like, "Coach, I need to get over 100 yards, or I'm gonna have some down ratings." So I just throw him in the slot, and I do the one where it's just the quick pass to him every play. Go ahead, neat. Go ahead, neat, Devontae. Hey, do it this week. I think that's a good game plan too. And on the offensive side of the ball, your bomb players, hey, could be Hurts. It could be Sanders. I think Sanders, that's the other juicy one. Because there's a good little storyline there.
Yep.
I'd love Miles Sanders to be bomb. It's weird because I promise you, Joe, I did not see that until I think you said it. As I said,
it was almost simultaneous. I looked down because I saw there was a new message as you were talking.
Nick absolutely has to use him, and as I stated earlier, mix him in early. Let's 3 to 5 carries, in the first quarter. 10 to 15 at the end of the game. I want to see that Sanders touch the ball. If not Sanders, I want to see that the running back, it doesn't necessarily just have to be Sanders. If Scott's coming in and he's your 1-2 and he's breaking them right up through the middle for 5 and 7 at a clip. And then, like you said, why not get all 3 of them in the end zone so Kevin hits?
I will say my only worry about Scott this weekend, and this comes up every single time they play the Giants. I know, I get it. I've been here. I've seen them all. I understand the Scott versus Giants thing. But there are times it feels like when he gets into games only against the Giants, where his first 3 runs are for -2. Stop. Go back to Sanders, who's got 8 rushes for 40, or whoever it is that's working. Use the hot hand if that's the way you want to play it. Don't just keep jamming Boston Scott, because at some point his little ass is going to find a hole that no one else should be able to find.
Giggity.
And he's going to burn one. It cracks me up.
Yeah.
I like Boston Scott. There are definitely times, especially against the Giants, it feels like he's overusing him to hype that up.
Yeah, and look, it's you guys know I've touted many times, whether it's right or wrong, I think the Eagles have one of the best running back rooms in the league. I think that Scott, not Stott, wrong team. It's not baseball yet. It's not baseball yet. We'll get there. Calm down. Did Sanders piss Sirianni off? I think it's just a matter of, well, one, they know they got that contract coming up, so they're trying to keep his value down. But no, I think it's just a matter of situational football. I think it's a matter of Sanders will break the big one off, and then it'll be well, I'm going to go with the fresh running back. And then it just so happens to be that's the one that Scott comes in and he takes it for 5, and it's a touchdown.
I will say that this has been a Sanders problem no matter the coach. And what I have noticed over the years is when Doug wanted to use him, which wasn't often because Doug doesn't like running the football, but on those times when he would break them off and he'd have 15 carries, typically what sent Sanders back to this guy that doesn't get the ball enough is he fumbles. And it's a bad one. And he has not seen the ball anywhere near how he should since Christmas Eve because he cost them the game with that fumble. And right, wrong, or indifferent, that's the way coaches are. And when you have three talented running backs who can all carry the load, who all bring you slightly different versions of the same guy, use them. But I agree. I think Sanders has got to be your lead back. He should be the guy who's a lot of things cost him that game. What I'm telling you is that when you're the guy who had the last fumble, it's usually you who gets the one who gets saddled with it. So that's kind of where I am. And I, whether fair or not, he's got to make the most of his opportunities. He's going to get them. If he comes out and he runs and his average is 3 yards a carry, they're going to use the other guys. That's all.
Yeah, I think that I think there was a bit of load management, for lack of a better term, built in for Sanders specifically toward the last 4 games. He had a bit of a knee injury. Boston Scott was being effective. Hal Gainwell has had a couple touchdowns down the stretch. He's been coming on and being productive.
He does a great job with the screen passes.
Yeah, he's absolutely your third down running back. He's the guy that, I mean, let's not forget he was a wide receiver as well in college. And he's very much he's that guy. Like if he in the situation that your bet hits, he's catching one in my book.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it wasn't rushing. Thank God.
Oh, yeah. You when you said touchdowns, I knew you didn't say rushing. I knew you. Yeah, that's anytime. Scott can take. I keep saying Scott. I don't know why. Maybe I need to take the headband off. Scott can run one back, from a kick, and that counts. Like
Yep.
So, yeah. That's not bad. That's
He
true, Joe.
runs
You weren't a big Miles supporter. You were. In fact, can I go out on a limb and go, you were damn near a Miles hater? Is that are you willing to admit that, Joe? If not, it's okay. It's okay.
I remember Joe being with me on that because I was never a Miles guy.
You would always go, your Miles guy. Miles is your guy, and I go, no. If anything, Boston Scott was my guy. Like I don't know why. I love that guy.
The East-West running drove me nuts, especially early in his career for Sanders.
Yeah,
because he's not Saquon.
Sanders early on had the same problem that LaShawn McCoy early on had, which was they came out of college and they thought that they could juke everybody.
I got you. The difference was Shady could.
Shady is a Hall of Famer. I was going to finish with that point. Shady, if not a Hall of Famer, he's borderline. Yeah. But again, very early on, if anything, that was like the gripe that Eagles fans had was, he goes but the problem was the Eagles fans had that in year 7 of Shady's career, right. And you're like, dude, look at his numbers. Look, Sanders definitely, and Sanders was not on the same plane that McCoy was.
Correct. So if you're going to be an East-West guy like that, and you're going to look to juke in the backfield, you have to have the getaway speed that Saquon does, that Christian McCaffrey does, that Shady had. You have to have that next level. And Sanders is a straight line runner who you're not catching once he's past you. But when you're trying to juke in the backfield, you're already putting yourself. He spent so many years trying to be Saquon. He still, I think, does that. But I think he's kind of learned his own strengths and weaknesses and has changed his game. Yes. And that's what I've seen over the last 2 years.
Saquon is at top speed when he steps onto the field.
Yeah.
Sanders takes he's got he's a turbocharger. He's got that a little bit of turbo lag. He takes 2 to 3 steps and then he gets going. Whereas Barkley and even if we want to go McCoy, those guys were electric cars. There's no lag at all. They're just down on it and go. And Barkley's and we're gonna see it firsthand Saturday. Barkley is he's their number one threat. And for good reason. It feels weird. Anytime people are like, "Oh, the Giants shouldn't have taken Barkley. What does it net?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" First off, and I'd have to go back and look at that draft because I have no idea who was behind him. don't think it was any quarterbacks. If there was, was it a quarterback that people were like, "Oh, you got to take this guy. You got to take," or was it like a third round, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But when
I
it comes
think
to the
always
Barkley
within
thing, I'm like, I would never. Oh, you drafted a quarter or a running back too high. He's been on the team for 8 years. Anytime he's on the field, he's a game changer. To me, it's maybe not 8 years. I just threw a number out. I actually have. He's probably been on that team for
he's
what, 4 or 5 years now.
5. This is year 5, I
Yeah,
believe. He's a
it's by no
2018
means 8. I just
draft.
literally threw a number on the board.
Yeah.
But like, to me, that was a 100% hit for the Giants on that draft pick. Not that it's any problem of mine.
So that draft is Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
After him?
Yeah. So Barkley's two in that draft.
And they went like immediately after him?
No. Well, Allen goes 7. Arnold goes 3. So that's probably who they would have taken if they were taking a quarterback. I think the bigger miss, if I'm them, and only because of the fact that the first 3 years of Saquon were trouble because our O-line sucked, is Quentin Nelson, who's probably the best guard I've ever seen play, was 5 or 6 in that draft. But I am of the opinion now where if Miles wants to sign a relatively team-friendly deal, bring him back. If not, wait until the 5th and 6th round and draft the next guy who's just going to be a workhorse. Because apparently it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, get a veteran.
Any running back can just do this. I wouldn't even get a veteran. Just draft a guy late. Because every year you get Dameon Pierce, who, where the hell did he come from?
True, valid.
I watched college football and couldn't tell you. I know where he went, but that was never on my sights. Last year I went this running back group that's coming out is just not that good. And then they were, you knew what Walker was because he was a little more high profile. Dameon Pierce is just as good as any of the top 15 running backs, except for maybe the top 4. And Saquon's in that, so you have one of them. It's just whether or not you can win a playoff game off of them, and they did last week. We'll see if they can do it again this Saturday. Hopefully not.
Yeah. Oh man, is it Saturday yet? How about let's just get to Friday.
Listen, I got a short week, and it's still not Saturday yet.
It's never short.
No.
It's never short.
I can't believe I'm like 2 days into this work week, and I'm on a short week anyway.
So yeah, any other anything else that we missed tonight, Kev? Any other final, like any predictions, Eagles? If we want to talk, like if there's any of the other teams in Philly you want to bring up, we can. I don't. The Sixers have been sort of rolling, but again,
yeah, it's what playoffs. I've given up on the NBA's regular season at this point. It's the Sixers are going to fall somewhere in here, and what do you do in the playoffs? I can't. They're in the playoffs. I'm good. That's all I cared about.
I turn the Sixers on. I watch them for some sort of entertainment. I enjoy it. It's hard for me, especially because we're only here once a week. It's hard for me to try to fit that into my hour because it's just going to come down to I need the Sixers to get past the second round.
Correct.
I have nothing to say until that. Stupid as a Sixers fan because they have made me feel that way the past 2, 3, however many years. But it's for me when it comes to the Sixers, as far as being a talk show host or whatever it may be, it's just a wait and see thing. I told it's Joe. We were talking. I'm like the Sixers right now feel borderline how the Flyers did for me 10 years ago when we started this thing, which was like, I just got to see what they do in the playoffs, and then I'll give my judgments, because it's like the regular seasons are becoming moot, because it's like, oh, Joel Embiid popped off for 40. Great. I need to see what Joel Embiid's going to look like in the playoffs. Harden, one night, he's been doing fantastic, but it's like, oh, the heel's hurting. Then sit him the rest of the year. Like, I need these guys to be healthy in the playoffs. Because, I'm not going to deal with another excuse-ridden playoff season. Like, it's getting, you can see I'm getting worked up on it. If
I can't. I have a hard time talking to them about them week to week.
So,
they made the playoffs. That was what my hope for the year. They've already done it. I don't care whether or not they've officially clinched. I believe they could lose like all games except 6 and still make the playoffs at this rate. It is what it is. They're not going to. They're going to continue to win. they'll finish somewhere between 3 and 7. Cool.
Yep.
Whatever. We'll worry about playoff matchups when we get there. You got to beat 4.
Anytime people bring up Doc, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to defend Doc, but I can't make every show from here until the Sixers season's over that I'm going to want him to fire, because ultimately I want him to win me a championship this year.
Correct.
So if I made my one post about it and then I stopped. Like I had to, and they won the game that I posted that I wanted him fired in. It was the game against the.
I know.
It was the game against the Lakers, not most recently.
Correct.
But I was so fed up with how they almost blew that game that I had said my piece.
Joe, I almost said too, just so no one could argue with me, because I don't really. I almost said they're going to finish.
Joe's been weirdly strong on the Sixers.
No, I said they're going to finish between the 3 and the 7. He said they're going to be the
2.
They're going to finish somewhere in the 1 to the 6. I'm done.
They will finish 1 through 12.
They're making the playoffs. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and again, let's go from there. Like that's and I hope that doesn't sound down on the Sixers, because again, I know it sounded sarcastic, but I'm like, I do watch the Sixers. They are entertainment. Like I think they're on tonight too, right? I think there might be another 10 o'clock tip tonight.
I don't know. I just occasionally turn it on.
But it's like, especially if they're on, like.
I mean, I've watched plenty. I've watched plenty of them.
No, they played last night. They're on tomorrow. Tomorrow against the I gotta hit my brother, see if he's going to the game. He's out there in Oregon.
Oh, nice.
So,
I like I said, I enjoy watching them play. It's been great. I can't talk about it because
they're a team that's not
nothing.
Helpful to create content right now.
No, not at all.
And again,
when you get closer to the end of the season,
kind of a good thing, though. Like,
it's
be boring. Be boring. Be healthy. Get into the playoffs.
Be boringly good. It's great.
Now, here's maybe one thing, and again, I said I don't want to talk about the Sixers, and here I am. The fact that Maxi's coming off the bench is a little interesting twist that Doc has recently flirted with. I've heard a lot of people bring this up, and I've kind of, I don't want to say poo-pooed it, but I'm just like, you want your best players as starters. That being said, one game, it did what those people said it would do. He comes out there and he's just the guy. Yep. So the good thing is like a guy like D'Anthony Melton is good enough to be in your starting rotation, which I said since day one. I loved that pick. Again, it was another weird move where Joe and I, basketball move that we were very on board with. But yeah, it's an interesting twist that we'll see how that plays out for more than one game, and then maybe this is a talking point next week. But hopefully, we don't really have to worry about the Sixers for a little bit.
I would say, if we're talking about the Sixers next week, it's trouble.
Honestly, I want to be honed in here on out for kind of just one team. The more co-hosts that come on, I'll bring up the Trea Turner thing as many times as I can until it's actually here. But we're an Eagles talk show until hopefully sometime in February.
The only thing I will say about these guys is I hope everyone who wanted to talk shit on Travis Konechny has enjoyed watching him this season.
Yeah.
I hope that's shut all of you up.
I've thought about busting out the T-shirt here and there. That's my guy.
Oh, listen, I beat you up for a lot of old Flyers takes. You've been on TK since day one, so I'm not. That was not at you. That was it.
I've thought about jumping ship, but that's the one Flyers shirt that I think about busting out every now and then. But
he's been unreal. It's the team. That team is exactly what I said they would be the day they hired Tortorella, and
yeah,
for good or bad. I said it would be bad, and I stand by the fact that I still think it's bad. But
right there with it, right there, and that was a weird thing where you and I were like, I just did the basketball point with Joe and I, and then you and me. That was like, I thought we would disagree about some part of it, but no, we were
off a little bit in that. I do think he's a good coach, and I do think it's a.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. We did
because we've seen that part of it. For me, the Konechny is him. The growth we've seen from York is him. Like Frost did something stupid last night, and him being happy about it was weird. So Torts apparently grew up as a person. I think when you've seen the guys, the dude, oh my god, name just slipped right in my head. Tippett. who they thought was a bust in Florida, who they kind of threw in. I mean, was the main piece for G, shooting the puck like he's a sniper all of a sudden, which is what he's supposed to be. To be fair, I've seen growth from those type of guys, and that was what I wanted out of Torts. I would wish they'd stop winning games because they're either A, going to make the playoffs and be a disgrace while they get destroyed in the first round, or B, just miss the playoffs and draft 15 in one of the greatest drafts of all time. Which either one sounds like perfectly Flyers. So can't think of which one would be worse other than I have to pay for playoff tickets if they get there. So I think I know which one's worse.
Oh, man. Well, that was a fun little final thought segment. We even got a little Flyers on. Anything else tonight then, Gav? We've officially hit the hour plus mark.
I'm sorry. I just read the last comment, and calling for Carter Hart because of one game is insanity. He's literally probably the third best goalie in the league this year.
I can't even. I'm trying to.
I just read the back. I have no idea what the first.
Oh, whatever. Means. Oh, I need to. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's my pop for you.
It's literally the third best goalie in hockey.
Carter Hart's literally the only reason why you would want to watch the Flyers.
They literally are 4 or 5 points out of a playoff spot because they have the third best goalie in hockey. It's literally it. Everything else about this team.
Yeah, but he lets up more than 0 goals a game. Therefore, he's not.
Listen, don't get me wrong.
Did you know Bernie Perrant never let up a goal his entire career?
Yeah.
So Carter Hart sucks because of
that. I will say this: if the only game you've watched this season was Monday against Boston, I get it. If you've watched any other game this year,
that's right. My dad did say this was first.
If that's the only game you watched, I totally understand. He gave up 4 goals in the first period. I get it. I mean, there's not a single person playing defense for the whole 60 minutes of that game, but, whatever. He did stand on his head. He had 20 saves in the fucking first period.
Nice.
I knew I was going to lose it.
Oh, man.
But he's literally getting the third best goalie. That's just wild. I looked down and I was like, I could criticize this team for 100 things. Not him.
No, that's man.
Plus, they got a good backup now, which is nice. I don't know how much longer, but the Swede's playing well.
Yeah. Johnny Gaudreau though.
I said it then. I'll say it now. Thank God. I mean, I wanted him because I love Johnny.
Still upset.
I know, but that's a lot of money to put into a guy who would have just scored goals on the third worst team in hockey.
Yeah, this year. But, he's still going to be good in 3-4 years. That's the thing.
Oh, I hear you. But they have 4 or 5 contracts they have to get rid of between now and then. Or he would have still been 5 years from now been the top goal scorer on the third worst team.
Yep, that's sad. I'm sad.
Yeah. Listen, I was actively sad while celebrating at the same time when they announced where he went. Because I would have killed to have Johnny here.
So, all right, then, yeah, I guess. All
right, we talked about it more than we wanted to.
I guess that's about all we got for tonight, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this has been all over the place. I didn't think we'd be. I don't know where. I didn't think we'd be getting down this far, right? But it's the end of the show. That's what we got.
Did I tell you that the show I'm directing? We have a show on Saturday, 8:00.
Oh no! Give me the deets.
No, but I'm not going to be there. It's the Eagles play.
Oh, there's a show I'm going to be directing. Oh, you just put me in plug mode. Like I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like,
I was like, oh,
everybody take note to the hosting ability that I am there though. Like, if he had something, I'm like, let's go. Go ahead. You can plug away right now.
I literally was like, please, just don't let the Giants win because then the game's going to be Saturday. And then when they won, I was like, oh, come on, make it the afternoon game. That'll be perfect. Yup. Nope. Joe, no, they didn't name a captain. They're not going to. For lots of reasons, other than the fact that they only have one guy who's deserving. So.
Yeah, Sean Couturier is not playing, and he's the only one that probably deserves it.
They're going to give it to Lawton next year.
Yeah. Again, that makes... Like
if I had to guess.
If it were this year, if there were anyone that would have that earned it, or would have deserved it, it would have been Couturier.
For me,
let the record show that I said that.
I will say that the way that the captain has become in the NHL. It's usually your best player who also has leadership qualities. From a old school, the captain is the guy who leads. I wanted Lotz last year. When they moved G, I was hoping it would be Lotz this year. Now he's the only guy on the ice wearing an A, so it might as well be a C, because the other two A's would be Atkinson and Couturier, who won't play this year. So, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Again, still talking about a team I didn't want to talk about. So
yeah, so it's been guys, it's been a fun show. Thank you guys all for tuning in, both live and on demand. We are going to be anxiously awaiting Saturday for this Eagles game, and until then, it's like we're just gonna be biting our fingernails and waiting. We're just sitting, waiting, and that's about it.
whatever I got left of fingernails at this point.
So yeah, again, we just want to thank everyone for tuning in, both live and on demand. Shout out to the YouTube crowd. Make sure you slam down that subscribe. I want you to do dirty things to those like and subscribe buttons on YouTube. And again, for our people that are here on Twitch, thank you guys for twitch.tv/warroomphilly, facebook.com/warroomphilly, pretty much warroomphilly, everywhere you can get any sort of content goodness. Yeah, I got nothing left. I guess with that, it's time to put a bow on this pretty little show. I am Anthony Pinto.
And I'm Kevin Christian.
And we are out of here. Let's go, birds.